It's now 9:09 on May 1st of 2025. You are looking at the brightest galaxy in the series for tonight. The sky isn't quite dark. I can still see some bluishness up there in the atmosphere. The galaxy we're looking at right now on the screen, as soon as I get my pen light to work, is NGC 2976, magnitude 10.2, with an average surface brightness of 13. You add them together, you end up with something like I think it's 11.7. This is a galaxy you should be able to pick out through a 6-inch scope on a decent night of seeing. Tonight, however, we're going to have to do a couple of things. I got truncated last night using the Microsoft snipping tool, cleared up some memory on the laptop. But what I'm going to do is probably break it down into a couple of sessions. And the first session is going to be to recover about 4 galaxies I was not able to cover last night, largely because we lost the last 3, but also we had some serious positioning errors. We should be seeing this view here at 100% zoom, and that's going to require me throughout the night, because I notice there's error in tracking despite the fact that all the stars centered up nicely. So during the course of the evening, I'm going to be very busy with actually telescope operations to ensure that we do see and find our galaxies. And even if it isn't sky dark and there's a 4-day moon, that is one fantastic look at 10.2 magnitude NGC 2976 to start off the evening. As best as I can tell, this is the region for NGC 2800, and probably also the reason why I didn't turn it up last night. We are not seeing what we expect to see here. NGC 2800 is supposed to be at 9 hours 18:35.2, 52 degrees 30 minutes 52 seconds in Ursa Majoris. Supposed to be quite bright at 12.8 magnitude, but the size is 1.2 by 1 arc second and an average surface brightness of 13.1. Excuse me, with a position angle of 15 degrees. I've done the best I can, but I am not seeing it anywhere on this screen. Through a 17.5-inch scope in 1997, Steve describes it as fairly faint, small, slightly elongated 40 by 30 arc seconds. Contains a very small, slightly brighter core. Now what I'm going to do is just play with the histogram a little bit, see if we can turn something up. It's a double star pair there. Not a whole lot that looks like our galaxy. I'll slide the slide bar up a little bit. Maybe we'll see it. And no, that is not the case. This is as best as we're going to get. And we missed this one last night, and we're missing it again. I wonder if they actually did discover a comet in NGC 2800. I've got to tell you, even though I did a great 3-star alignment and everything worked out quite well, when I originally went to M82, it was pushed off to the right side of the screen here. And now what we're seeing is NGC 2841, that brilliant, oblately presented galaxy in Ursa Majoris being up here. And originally, I can't account for this. We're just going to have to zoom in and do the best we can to track it down using the slide bars. And I'll give you the data on it. This is a galaxy we saw last night. It is quite spectacular. Not as spectacular as the one that's about to come up with all its knots that we saw originally. Let me give you the data on this. NGC 2841. This was the final galaxy I believe we partially viewed last night. 9 hours, 22 minutes, 2.3 arc seconds, 50 degrees, 58 minutes, 35 seconds in Ursa Majoris. Magnitude quite bright, 9.2. Very large, 8.1 by 3.5 arc minutes. Average surface brightness, 12.7. Position angle of 147 degrees, which introduces our whole discussion from last night. Apparently this direction here is south, this direction here is west, this direction here is east, and that direction there is north. All our studies, if we see more than one NGC galaxy in the same field, should be drifting down towards east, which is this direction here over time. What does Steve say about it? At 182, X very bright, large, elongated 5 to 2, northwest, southeast, roughly 5 by 2 arc minutes, strong concentration with a very bright core and intense nucleus that sometimes reaches a stellar peak. Well, it looks more like we've overwhelmed the brightness there. It is not a very stellar core at all. East side of the galaxy, just beyond the core, is strongly affected by dust as the surface brightness is noticeably lower than the west side. All right, yeah, we can see that it's the core region slightly brighter to the upper left. A magnitude 13-point star is superimposed on the north side of the halo, and a magnitude 11 star is just off the northwest edge. We can see those stars. Magnitude 8.5 HD 8566, a K2 type star, which means quite red, is 5 arc minutes to the east, north, east. Once again, here's our north, here is our east, here's our west, and here is our south. Here we go with a wee pick'em. NGC 2854, which is a galaxy we did not get to image last night. And there are 3 quite nice ones present in the field, despite the 4-day moon. Is at 9 hours, 24 minutes, 3.1 seconds, plus 49 degrees, 12 minutes, 15 seconds in, of course, the Big Bear. Got a visual magnitude of 13, 1.7 by 0.6, which means like a 3-to-1 aspect ratio. You pick it. Average surface brightness 12.9 and a position angle of 50 degrees. Well, if this is west and this is south, this is east, west, east, south, and north. 54 degrees would be somewhere between north and east. So that's probably our galaxy right there. NGC 2854, accounted for, sir. We're back to our 3 galaxies with NGC 2856, and since galaxies are going to tend to drop to the east, which is the bottom here, the west is north, and this is to the south, I'll wager this is our next galaxy. No, it's NGC 2856, 9 hours, 24 minutes, 16 seconds, plus 49 degrees, 14 to 57 seconds in Ursa Majoris. Magnitude 13.1. That sounds a lot like the last one. 1.1 by 0.5 with a surface brightness of 12.3. Slightly brighter than the last one, yes. Position angle of 134 degrees. We'll have to work that one out again. Basically, 134 degrees would be past south, and which is down here. But remember, it can go either direction on these. We're going to assume it's this galaxy right here. Here's our south, here's our east. 134 degrees is probably this galaxy pointing in this direction right there. Hey, we're going to sign off on part 1 of the evening, which was the recovery of the galaxies that we weren't able to cover, did cover last night, but were not able to record for whatever technical reasons. It is now 9:25 in the evening, and we will now push on to NGC 2857 through NGC, 57 through 2977, very close to NGC 3000. We be starting part 2 of the evening's Rounders views. Part 1 basically covered the ones we weren't able to cover last night because we had some technical issues with the microscope tool that I'm using to capture videos and sound. We're going to go on to NGC 2857 through NGC 2977, and I do believe 2857 is the galaxy we saw at the end of the previous cycle, and it's NGC 2857 is at 9 hours, 24 minutes, 37.8 seconds, plus 49 degrees, 21 minutes, 25 34.5 seconds in Ursa Majoris, of course. It's got a visual magnitude of 12.3, pretty much face on, which is what we're seeing. 2.2 by 2 arc minutes and an average surface brightness of 13.7. We'd be seeing a lot of this faint on galaxy. So a 24-inch scope in 2021 at 375x, it was fairly faint, large, round, but very diffuse with a slightly brighter core region. And we can see all that. The halo appeared a bit uneven, but spiral structure wasn't seen. Well, I'd say that's very comfortable, what Steve is reporting through a 24-inch scope. Let's make sure that we are operating at 100%, and yes, we are, which should be about 250x. There are hints of spiralicity in the view we are getting. Not a bad kicker for the rounder series of NGC 2857 to 2977. NGC 2870 is among our favorite types of morphology in the edge-on spiral galaxy. It's at 9 hours 27 minutes 53.5 seconds plus 57 degrees 22 minutes and 33 seconds Ursa Majoris, but the scope made quite a bit of an excursion to get here. Through a 17.5-inch scope in 1992, fairly faint, moderately large, very elongated 4:1 west-northwest to east-southeast. 2 by 0.5 arc minutes with a brighter core. I think everything follows there, except we are seeing some H2 regions along the edge here, which goes a little bit past what Steve reports, but he was reporting through a 17.5-inch scope. We are now almost 3 minutes into this video, and we're now on to our third galaxy for the evening in this new round of the Rounder series. For NGC 2880 at 9 hours 29 minutes 34.5 seconds plus 62 degrees 29 minutes 27 seconds in Ursa Majoris. We are seeing in the middle of the field, and I did have to navigate using the slider bars, as you can see, to a visual magnitude 11.5, size 2 by 1.2 arc minutes with a surface brightness of 12.4 and a position angle of 140 degrees. Through a 17.5-inch scope in 1991, moderately bright, round, we're seeing extensions on this. 1 arc minute in diameter, strong concentration, yes, very small, bright core, no, we're not seeing that. Typically see an intense core like that at the eyepiece. A magnitude 11.5 star is 1.9 arc minutes to the east, northeast. That would be our magnitude 11.5 star. We're now seeing several faintish galaxies on this field, and I had to manipulate it. I'm assuming this is our study. NGC 2892 is at 9 hours 32 minutes 53 seconds plus 67 degrees 37 minutes and 2 seconds in Ursa Majoris. Has a visual magnitude of 13.1, 1.4 by 1.4 arc minutes. Surface brightness is 13.7. And remember, I do believe that the pointer itself is about 1 arc in size, if I remember from last night's calculation. This is most likely our galaxy here. Through a 17.5 scope in 1992, fairly faint, fairly small, round, gradually brighter halo, yes. Faint stellar nucleus, pretty bright nucleus actually. A wide, bright double star, epsilon 1349, 2 stars. Oh yeah, I see them, 7.5 and 8.7. is at 24 seconds, is 11, separated by 24 seconds, is 11 arc minutes west-southwest at the edge of the 220x field. Well, I'm seeing a double star here. It's west, but this is south from last night. This is north. This is, let's see, west, and this is east. So maybe not a good mapping there. We should now be seeing NGC 2895 right out there on the screen. It's at 9 hours 32 minutes 25.1 seconds plus 57 degrees 28 minutes 58 seconds. Once again, in Ursa Majoris. Visual magnitude is 13.9, pretty bright. Size is 0.9 by 0.8 arc seconds, an average surface brightness of 13.3. We won't know that this is really our galaxy until we read what Steve had to say. 17.5-inch scope in 1992. Faint, small, elongated, 4 to 3. Yeah. West, southwest to east, northeast. Yeah. West, southwest, east, northeast. So I'd say that's pretty confirmatory. Has a broad concentration in a halo to the brighter core. Yeah, there's quite a halo there as well. We have now entered the Dragon's Lair from NGC 2908. Giving you the big picture view so you can get a sense of the density of stars and Draco. I will do a zoom in once again. I hopefully expect to see something right about in this region of the screen. Another one of those double stars, huh? Not seeing anything in particular yet. And we could be in an entirely different section of the screen given the fact that we have not been getting particularly good go-to tracking, despite what I consider to be a very superb 3-star alignment. I suspect we have some serious issues with some of the data being out of date. Here I am. I'm surveying the field. I'm not quite at 200x. Let me tell you about the galaxy so we can get a sense of what to see. All right, NGC 2908, 9 hours 43 minutes 31.6 seconds, up to 79 degrees 42 minutes 5 seconds in Draco. Faintest galaxy magnitude 14.1, smallest 0.8 by 0.8 with an average surface brightness of 13.5. Do not use average brightness to determine whether or not you'd be able to see this galaxy on a good night with particular aperture scope. This is through a 17.5-inch scope on 2002, faint, fairly small, round, 0.8 arc minutes in diameter, low but uneven surface brightness. Well, if we could only find the galaxy, we might be able to compare the view. But we seem to be a bit lost. Maybe I'll try to recover this one sometime in the future. Okay, before we begin our zoomage, I want to point out that NGC 2909 could not be found by Steve, and there's a reason, because it's a double star as listed in the Sky Live. Also, I have already adjusted the histogram. Missing that last galaxy was not very satisfying to me. NGC 2938, 9 hours 38 minutes 24 seconds, plus 76 degrees 19 minutes and 10 seconds in Draco. Visual magnitude 13.5, 1.7 by 1 arc minute, and an average surface brightness of 14. Go ahead and add those together to get 13.75. And you are probably talking something around a 12-inch scope to be able to just hold it direct. 105-degree position angle, 17.5 scope in 1989, faint, fairly small, slightly elongated, even surface brightness. I have to tell you, I don't have a lot of confidence in the evening's alignments to be able to turn up what we expect to see. But let's go ahead and have a look anyway for something around the 14th magnitude. I'm pretty much unhappy with the fact that the mount seems to be problematic. It could easily be fixed if I could figure out some kind of synchronization routine, so that once I centered on the study, I would be able to adjust the model so that it would track from that point on. Something faint over here, but I doubt that's it. We are going to go ahead and say not found on NGC 2930. Oh, before I go on to NGC 2950, I am thinking that we may have seen 2938 right at the tip of my pointer there. So let's pretty much assume that's the case. And as I said, according to Gottlieb, it was 1.7 by 1.0, faint, fairly small, slightly elongated, even surface brightness. Yeah, that looks like it could be our galaxy, NGC 2938. Our next study, NGC 2950, is pretty straightforward. We can easily make it out. And as we zoom in, I'll just have to push the slider bar vertically straight, just the top one, the lateral one, not all of them. We'll go to our 250x nominal, and here we have our galaxy centered up more or less in the field, NGC 2950 at 9 hours 42 minutes 35.1 seconds plus 58 degrees 51 minutes and 4 seconds in Ursa Majoris once again. Visual magnitude 10.9 with a size of 2.7 by 1.8. Yeah. Surface brightness 12.5. So I would say a 6-inch scope should basically turn this one up with direct vision. Position angle 145 degrees through a 17.5-inch scope in 1988. Steve describes it as bright, very small, almost round, sharp concentration with a very small and very bright core surrounded by a small faint halo. A magnitude 14.5 star is 0.8 arc minutes west, southwest. This is west, this is south, this is west. There are actually several 4 stars right there that are going to prove to be magnitude 14.5 and fainter. This is our study. We're getting a little better view than the 17.5-inch scope. Once again, I pretty much landed on 24 or 2-foot aperture scope views when using the 6-inch fast nuke and the ZWO imager using at 10-second exposures. I do believe we are on to our faintest galaxy of the evening. And it will require some zoomage. Presumably, it'll be up here on the screen. And yes, there is a very small fuzzy star-like galaxy right there. But let's push it up a little bit further to 100% zoomage. Yes, indeed, there is our galaxy. It is NGC 2957 at 9 hours 47 minutes 18.2 seconds. We are at 72 degrees north, 59 minutes and 2 seconds, and you might guess we are in Draco. Visual magnitude 14.4, 1 by 0.4 arc minutes. So look for some kind of oblation on this, but frankly, there must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, possibly 8 galaxies all in this region, with our candidate NGC 2957 at 14.5 magnitude, the brightest. Through a 24-inch scope in 2021 at 375x, Steve describes it as fairly faint, small, elongated 2-to-1 southwest and northeast, a mere 35 by 15 arc seconds. Very small, brighter core, magnitude 13.7 star is nearly aligned with the major axis. 14, wow, that is interesting. There might be an embroiled star with that. A mere 42 arc seconds from the center, forms a close double system with MCG 1210-001 off the northwest side, 14 arc seconds in the centers. You know, I think we really have to push the magnification up on this one. Okay, now we're off, way up there. High magnification definitely shows the elongation. Not a particularly aesthetically good view, but we get a much better sense of the egg shape of NGC 2957. We're now 15 minutes in. I am going to go to a third rendition using the Microsoft snipping tool to avoid loss of imagery. It is 9:55. I've been out here for more than an hour. Thankfully, the temperatures have been reasonably comfortable this evening. What you're seeing now is NGC 2959 with a neighbor. So it'll be interesting to see if we get that one as well. We're at 9 hours, 45 minutes, 8.9 seconds, plus 68 degrees, 35 minutes, and 41 seconds. But no, we are not in Draco. This is a magnitude 12.8 galaxy, face on 1.3 by 1.3. I bet you can guess which one it is on the screen. An average surface brightness of 13.2. Basically an 8-inch scope, just somewhere between an 8 and a 10-inch scope. Should just pull this one off direct on a really good night of seeing. It's through a 17.5-inch scope in 1992. Steve describes it as fairly faint, fairly small, round, 1 arc minute in diameter with a halo brightening to a small, bright core. I think we're doing a little better than that. We are definitely seeing a core, and we are seeing an expansive core region around it. Can't see any particular H2 regions of star formation, maybe a little beyond our 24-inch rendition, equivalent rendition this evening. Well, in fact, this edge-on galaxy near to NGC 2959 is actually very close. NGC 2961 at 9 hours, 45 minutes, 22.4 seconds, plus 68 degrees, 36 minutes, 30 seconds in Ursa Majoris. That edge-on galaxy is magnitude 14.7. Probably with the other one was 14.5. That was 2957. So this may very well be the faintest galaxy of the evening. And that's a visual mag, not a blue-violet, which would typically be about half to 1 magnitude fainter. This galaxy is 1.1 by 0.3 arc minutes and an average surface brightness of 13.4. Position angle of 136 degrees through a 17.5-inch scope in 1992. Steve says extremely faint, very small, round, brighter core, averted only. Forms a close pair with NGC 2959. Averted vision typically adds about a 0.8 magnitudes to your reach, which adds half of your aperture size. So since he was viewing this with a 17.5, you divide 17.5 by 2, you get something that's very close to 9. You add it to 17.5, and you got about like a 26-inch scope. So therefore, us seeing this thing direct and getting all that detail, wow, we be going deep, despite a 4-day moon. This galaxy should look familiar. It is the brightest of the evening. It is NGC 2976, 9 hours, 47 minutes, 15.3 seconds, with a plus 67 degrees, 55 minutes, and 0 seconds in Ursa Majoris. Visual magnitude of 10.2 with a large size, 5.9 by 2.7 arc minutes, and an average surface brightness of 13. Makes this out to be about 11.6, a nice study for a 6-inch scope to be able to detect on a decent amount of seeing. Position angle of 143 degrees through a 14.5-inch scope in 2021 at 180 and 226x. Bright, large, elongated, 5 to 2 northwest southeast. Some 4.5 by 1.8 arc minutes visible. Must have had a reticle in the eyepiece. Unusual appearance with a highly uneven, very patchy surface due to dust and star-forming complexes. Yeah, we are seeing all that. Yes, indeed. Dust, star-forming complexes. Very nice. Let's push that magnification up and up. Wow. Let's see how far we can go with this galaxy. Well, that's pushing it a bit too much. Let's go back to probably something around 500x right there. Lots of star formation, variations in the texture. There's a spiral arm that's spinning off in this direction here, forming an angularity eventually, which might circumscribe the entire galaxy. NGC 2976, you are quite a study through a 24-inch equivalent scope. Here's a nice field of stars at low power. We're looking for NGC 2977. It's in Draco, magnitude 12.5, 1.8 by 0.8 arc minutes, I suspect is pretty much right here, given that magnitude of 12.5. If we do our zoomage, once again, I'm a little disappointed with the go-to accuracy of the mount this evening. Not sure why it should be such a problem. I wish I could do, like I said, if I could possibly synchronize the mount, it would be quite nice in that way to adjust for things over the course of the evening. Anyway, on to NGC 2977 at 9 hours 43 minutes 46.7 seconds. Furthest north, 74:51 minutes 25 seconds in the Dragon's Lair. Visual magnitude is 12.5 with a 1.8 by 0.8 arcman, pretty much a 2-to-1 aspect ratio, with an average surface brightness of 12.8 and 12.5. An 8-inch scope should just turn this baby up. Position angle 145 degrees, 17.5 in 1989. Moderately bright, fairly small, oval, northwest to southeast, large, bright core. Position angle is beautiful. All of that's been playing out pretty well tonight. I do want to go after NGC 2800 one more time, just because it completely eluded us this evening, and then maybe on to one of Bode's galaxies as our big group. Despite the fact we're probably 45 minutes into this video already. Here we are back in the NGC 2800's field. I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to go full westerly direction, and there are some faint fuzzies there. We're going to go full in the easterly direction, and there are faint fuzzies there. We can go full in the southerly direction and not see anything, because this galaxy is supposed to be visual magnitude 12.8, and we can go to the north and not see anything there. 12.8 magnitude galaxy. How could it? Oh, wow. The only thing we found is in this upper left-hand corner here. However, that doesn't quite cut it because it's 1.2 by 1.0 arc second. There's another one here, but that's not that bright. 12.8. So there are galaxies in the upper left-hand part of the screen. I am going to zoom over to the right, and that will be it for tonight. 2800 is incredibly elusive. I'll have to do some research on it. Here we have Bode's galaxies, of course, on a 3-day lunar night with a 10-second exposure using a fast F4 nuke, which I call El Cuatro. This galaxy, Messier 81, is supposed to be in the center of the field. It must be off by at least 15 to 20 arc minutes. Great view, though. Spiral arms are quite there. And then, of course, the modeled Messier 82 off to the left. I am going to just briefly play with our settings on the histogram that I've had to push in order to find the fainter galaxies earlier. This is a fine view, and one which I can very happily say